Hello everyone, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club and welcome to my channel. Tonight we're going to be continuing with our playthrough of Eldritch Horror against Atlach-Nacha. This is going to be episode 3. Before we begin with the playthrough, I have a few corrections from the previous video. In the previous video, Michael McGlenn used a summoning spell. Well, he was able to summon the creature to him, but part of the card says flip the card. He had 3 successes when he accomplished that, so we'll see what happens with 3 successes on here. And it says, summoning your foe allows you a brief glimpse into its mind. Gain a madness condition. So he is going to have a madness condition because of that. Alright, so he's going to gain a madness condition, and it ends up he gains hallucinations. When you perform a rest action, you may roll 1 die. On a 5 or 6, discard the card. Okay. Another correction involves Wendy Adams. In the previous turn, she gained a head injury, and then as a result of failing a strength test, the card was flipped, and she ended up losing a health and gaining another amnesia condition on top of it. Well, she has this special ability. It says once per round, if you would gain a non-deal condition or an impairment token, you may choose to not gain that condition or impairment token. So she should have never received the head injury condition, because she had the option to not take a non-deal condition. So we're going to erase that. She wouldn't have gotten the amnesia. She would have not lost health as a result of that, and she would never have the head injury condition. So that will rectify those oversights from the previous turn. That's the one bad part about solitaire board gaming. You have no one around to check you, so you've got to really be on top of everything. But as long as you make some way to get restitution for any errors, that's an acceptable part of solitaire gaming. You got nobody to check you, Okay, we're ready to begin with our next turn. Our lead investigator is Michael McGlenn. All right, Michael McGlenn has a corruption condition along with the hallucinations condition. He's down to 1 sanity, so we're going to need to deal with that. McGlenn is currently in Istanbul, and there is a wounded star vampire in his location. Well, you can't heal when you're in a space with a monster, so he's going to have to do, his first action will be a move action, and I'm going to move him to Bombay. We have a research token there, so that'll be his first action. His next action will be to rest, and we'll be able to recover 1 sanity, and he'll also be able to recover 1 health. That'll put him at 7 health and 2 sanity, and then we're going to make a roll for his hallucinations condition during the rest action. And that hallucinations condition says that when you perform a rest action, you can roll a die. On a 5 or 6, we can discard it. So we'll see if we can get rid of it. The result is a 6, so he's going to be able to get rid of the hallucination. That's great. We'll move on now to Lily Chen. She is in Tunguska. All right, Lily's a little banged up as well, so I think we're going to take a rest action, and that's going to allow her to recover a health and a sanity. That'll move her sanity up to 3, health up to 5, and then she also has a madness condition. So during a rest action, we can roll a die and see if we can get rid of that. Let's try it. Okay, here's the roll for the hallucination condition. She rolled a 1, so no help there. Okay, that was her first action. I think for her second action, she's going to do a move action, and we'll move her into Yekaterinburg in Siberia. That'll finish her turn. We'll move on to Wendy Adams. She's in the heart of Africa. All right, Wendy is also a little banged up, so I think we'll do a rest action for her, and she's going to gain a health and sanity. That'll move her up to 3 sanity and 5 health. I think for her second action, she'll take the uncharted path into Cape Town, South Africa. That'll give her access to potentially the expedition in Buenos Aires or towards those clue tokens in the Far East. That'll end her turn. And finally, we have a similar situation with Hank Sampson. He is at 1 sanity. He has a debt condition, and he's down to 4 health. Now, he's currently in Istanbul with that monster, so he's going to have to move before he can try a rest action. So he's going to begin with a travel action. We're going to move him from Istanbul to Rome. And then once in Rome, he's going to attempt the rest action. And what he can do there is heal up a health and a sanity. And that's going to move him to 2 sanity and 5 health. And that's about all we can do for the time being. So we'll move on to our encounter phase, and we'll begin with Michael McGlenn. McGlenn is in Bombay, and we desperately need to start doing some research. So we're going to do a research action on that clue token. All right, and that card reads, a young woman claims she is under the effects of a geas and is to present herself before the mother of spiders. You try to reason with her and break the curse. Test influence. All right, McGlenn has an influence level of 3. So he'll have 3 dice for this test. All right, Michael McGlenn has 1 focus token. Here is his attempt. He has no success. Well, I think we're going to have to spend that reroll. So I'm going to spend the focus token and we'll attempt to reroll one of the dice. Let's see what happens. Okay, here's the roll. And we failed. It says, if you fail, she leaves, never to be seen again. Advance the doom by 1. Oh no. Now McGlenn does have this corruption condition. It's a bane. It says you may gain an Eldritch token to re-roll 1 die when resolving a test. So we could use that, but that would be at the cost of our 3rd Eldritch token, and I don't want to do that. So we're just going to move the Eldritch or the Doom token up 1. All right, so we have to advance the Doom track. It's going to go from 5 to 4, and that's not too good. We've had some terrible luck with these research encounters. Okay, we'll move on now to Lily Chen. All right, Lily is in Yekaterinburg in central Russia, and she's going to do a general encounter in a city. All right, and that card reads, to find the city's legendary magic shop requires knowledge of ley lines. Test lore -1. Well, Lily has a lore of 2, so she is going to be rolling 1 dice for the test. She does have a lucky rabbit's foot, so we have a reroll available to us. Okay, here is her test roll. She rolls a 5. She's passed it, and it reads, if you pass, the owner will sell you only a single curio. Gain 1 random magical asset from the deck. That is outstanding. And she gains a Blessed Blade, item magical relic weapon. When you gain this card from the deck or the reserve, gain a boon condition. And that's going to be worth +3 to strength during combat encounters. Okay, we'll get her a boon. And her boon is a blessed condition, which is outstanding. 4, 5s, and 6s count as successes. If you gain another blessed condition, she would flip the card instead. If she gains a curse condition, she'd have to discard the blessed condition. During reckoning effects, we're going to roll a die, and on a 1 or 2, she has to discard it. So she'll be using blue dice until that blessed condition is removed. That's great. We'll move on now to Wendy Adams. She's in Cape Town, South Africa. All right, Wendy is going to be doing a general encounter in a city. And the card reads, you make sure no one is watching before sneaking out of the shop with your stolen goods. Test observation. She has an observation of 4. That is great. All right, here's her observation roll. And she has 2 successes. That's great. It says if you pass, gain an item asset from the reserve or 1 random item asset from the deck. All right, let's see what we've got here. I think she's going to gain this lantern. That would be pretty useful for her. And that says once per round, you can reroll 1 additional die when resolving a test. That is great, so we'll take that. That'll complete her encounter phase. We'll move on to Hank Sampson. He's in Rome. And I think Hank is going to attempt to do a European encounter in Rome. The encounter reads, the Vatican Library is so vast. You ask a librarian for recommendations. Test influence. Okay, he has an influence of 2, so he's got 2 dice coming for that. And we'll have him make the roll. He's got 1 success. That is awesome. It says if you pass, he leads you to a codex that recounts how worshippers of Shub-Niggurath were driven out of Rome. And the story renews your confidence. Improve willpower. That is great. So we'll improve his willpower. And it's up to 4 now. That's awesome. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Mythos phase. And we draw the card entitled Calling the Elder Things. Okay, we're going to have an omen track movement. Our omen track is going to move to the red circle, and unfortunately we have 1 gate open in Hyperborea, space 13, and that's going to move the doom track down 1. Our doom track moves from 4 down to 3. Things are getting worse. Next, we have to resolve a monster surge, and that is going to occur in Hyperborea, space 13. Based on the number of cards, or number of players that we're using, 4, we have to do 2. So 2 new monsters will appear in Hyperborea. So we have a dark young and a zombie appearing, and those have reckoning effects. Let's take a look at their capabilities here. Oh boy, it has a toughness of 5. That is not good. During reckoning effects, we're going to roll a die on a 1 or 2. The doom will advance. The other one will be spawn the zombie horde epic monster on this space. If you do so, discard this monster. Oh boy, we're not very close to Hyperborea, so it's going to take a little bit to get there. That is not good. All right, that is the effects of that. Next, we're going to spawn some clues. All right, next in the sequence is we spawn 2 clues. The first one is in space 16. All right, that's right where Lily Chen is. And the next one is in space 9. And that is going to be in space 9. I'll have to, oh, that's in Greenland. Okay. And finally, it's the event Calling the Elder Things. According to the police report, several individuals entered the warehouse in the middle of the night. They performed some sort of ritual, which culminated in their death. What you know that the police don't is that afterward, something inhuman left that warehouse. Spawn 1 monster on each space that contains a cultist. Well, fortunately, we don't have any cultists. That is great. So that card is complete with no further effects. All right, lastly, we have to decide if we want to change our lead investigator. Currently, that's with Michael McGlenn. I think we'll leave it with Michael McGlenn. So we'll begin a new turn with Michael. All right, Michael is in Bombay, India, and I think we're going to start with a rest action for him. His sanity is currently at 2, so we're going to move that up to 3. And his health right now is at 7. He'll gain 1 more for that. He's up to full power on his health. He's back up to 8. So that's his first action. I think his second action will be to gain a focus token. So we'll give Michael a focus token and with it a reroll. We'll move on to Lily Chen. Well, we've got these monsters now. There's 1 in Relay, and there's another one up in Hyperborea. And when we have reckoning effects, potentially the doom track can move 1. We only have 3 left on the doom track. The problem is if I start moving to try to deal with these creatures, we're not using our opportunities for research. And we don't have any research completed on our first mystery. So this is really tough. I don't know what to do with this. Well, Lily is in a space with a research token, so rather than wasting time, I'm going to try to get some research tokens. I think she'll start out by doing a rest action, and that's going to allow her to reclaim 1 sanity and 1 health. That'll move her health back up to full power at 6 and her sanity at 4. I think for her second action, she's going to gain a focus token, and she has a resources token already. Now, as a part of the rest action, we can try to have her get rid of this hallucinations situation that she has. So we're able to roll a die, and on a 5 or 6, we can discard it. So let's see if we can get rid of the hallucination. Okay, here is her roll. She's rolled a 6, so we can discard that hallucination. That is great. All right, that's going to complete her turn. We'll move on to Wendy Adams. She is in Cape Town, South Africa. Wendy currently has 5 health and 3 sanity, so I think what I'm going to do is have her prepare for travel. We're going to give her a ship ticket. She's going to move to space 11, spending the ship ticket and then getting her to Buenos Aires, where the expedition is located. That'll be her 2 actions. Next up is Hank Sampson, and I think we're going to have him move to London. That'll put him within 1 space of where those creatures are. And I think he's going to try to deal with, well, he only has 2 sanity. So that almost forces us into doing a rest action. He does have this debt condition as well. That's a tough one. We'll take a chance, and I'm going to try to solve this debt condition that he has. It says here we can use a local action testing influence, and if we pass, we can get rid of the card. So his influence is currently at 2. So we'll roll 2 dice and see if we can get rid of this thing. And he's failed. I do have a focus token that we could use, but I'd like to save that for the research encounter. Oh boy, this is really tough. Yeah, I think we'll save it. So that'll finish the encounters for Hank Sampson. I'm sorry, for the actions for Hank Sampson. We'll move on to the encounter phase. All right, Michael McGlenn is in Bombay, and he's going to attempt a token encounter, and we'll see if we can research that clue token that's there and maybe get a start on solving these mysteries. And the research encounter reads, a recently opened refit in space reacts to your presence. Strands of raw entropy affix themselves to your limbs as you draw near, offering you the limitless power of the crawling chaos. You may gain a dark pact condition to gain this clue and close 1 gate of your choice. I think we're going to have to do it. I don't like dark pacts, but this would be valuable enough to us. So he's going to gain a dark pact, and that's going to go off during a reckoning effect on a roll of 1, so it's a 1 in 6 chance of it. It's going to allow us now to gain the clue and then close a gate. We're going to close relay because the next movement of an omen track would be blue. So what we'll do then is we're going to apply this clue that he earned towards the Shroud of the Spider Mother mystery. That's our first one. We need to get 4. And then we'll close the gate in relay. So the gate in relay is closed, which is great. Next up is Lily Chen, and she's going to attempt a research token encounter and see if we can maybe get another one towards our mystery. And that reads, someone sends you a translation of an ancient Hyperborean text. Gain this clue. All right, we're going to apply that clue to our mystery. That's our second. We need to have 1 more. I'm sorry, we need 2 more. Okay, we'll continue reading. You try to deduce who sent it. Test observation -1. Okay, well, Lily has an observation of 2, so she'll be rolling 1 die, but she is blessed. So we'll be using the blue dice. All right, Lily has a focus token, and she also has the lucky rabbit's foot, so we'll see what happens. This is the test for observation. And she's passed it. She's got a 5, so we'll read on. If you pass, you locate the sender, and your perseverance earns you a new friend. Gain 1 random ally asset from the deck. Outstanding. And she gains the conspiracy theorist. Gain +2 observation during research encounters. And then during reckoning effects, we're going to roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, we gain a clue. That is great. All right, that's going to complete Lily Chen's encounter phase. We'll move on to Wendy Adams. She's in Buenos Aires with the expedition. All right, she's going to do the token encounter for the expedition, and it reads, Buenos Aires. You travel to a collection of towering wooden statues left by the Mapuche. Resolve the pass effect to disturb the chamomile to dig up the ground, or resolve the fail effect to leave an offering for the dead. Well, I think we're going to leave an offering for the dead, so we'll resolve the fail effect. It says a peaceful wind picks up and you think you hear a voice. Test observation. All right. Well, Wendy has an observation of 4. And she also has a lantern, which once per round she can roll 1 additional die when resolving a test. So I think she'll use that. We'll use the lantern, and that gets her an extra die. So she'll roll 5. Here's the roll. And she's got a total of 4 successes. That is awesome. All right, and that says, if you pass, the voice guides you to a reward. Gain a magical artifact. Outstanding. And so she gains the Dragon item, magical relic. As an action, loses sanity, and 1 monster on your space or an adjacent space loses 2 health. You may spend 1 sanity to re-roll any number of dice when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. That is awesome. All right, the expedition is going to move to the pyramids. So we'll move that to the pyramids. Okay, that's going to complete Wendy Adams' encounter phase. We'll move to Hank Sampson. He is in London. All right, Sampson is in London, and I think he's going to attempt to get that clue token. So we'll do a research encounter for him. Research encounter reads, a rift opens in a crowded square, and grasping spider legs reach out into the crowd. You try to tackle its target out of the way. Test observation -1. He has an observation of 3, so he will be rolling 2 dice for the test. All right, here is his roll. He does have 1 focus token we can use if we need to. Here's the roll. He's failed. Boy, oh boy. I guess we're going to have to spend the focus token. We've got to try it. And we'll try to re-roll it. We've passed. That is amazing. If you pass, knowledge is offered as thanks. Gain this clue and 1 talent condition. All right, we're going to apply the clue to the mystery at hand, and that's our 3rd. 1 more and we'll solve our first mystery. Okay, let's see what we get for a talent. He gains the talent Perspective. You may re-roll 1 die when resolving an observation test. You may spend 1 clue to re-roll up to 2 dice when resolving a test. If you do, flip the card. Okay. So we finally made some progress on our mystery. We've got 3 clues towards the 4 we need, but now we're going to move on to the Mythos phase. The card is entitled False Bargain. Okay, we're going to begin with an Omen track movement. Our Omen track will move to the blue star pattern, and fortunately we got rid of that blue gate we had in relay, so there will be no movement on the Omen track. Next is going to be a Monster Surge. Now we don't have an open gate of that color matching the Omen, so we have to spawn a gate. The gate is going to open in Sydney. That's a red gate, and a rat thing will be coming through the gate as well. I'll place those in Sydney. All right, so the gate opens in Sydney. The rat thing comes to defend that gate, and let's see what its capabilities are. It's an observation -2 test and a strength -1 test. It only has a value of 1 for toughness, but it does say if you fail the observation test, discard an item possession. Okay. Next up, we're going to spawn 2 clues. Let's see where these are going to be coming. First one is in Arkham. Next one is in Space 4, and that's in the Great White North in Canada. Okay. And now we have to read the ongoing event. It says False Bargain. The money you had been promised is gone. It has simply vanished like a morning mist. After investigating, you find all the related bank records were forgeries, and all of the names you were told were false identities. When this card enters play, each investigator has a funding condition. When this card enters play, each investigator that has a funding condition discards that condition and gains a debt condition. Well, we're lucky because nobody has any funding conditions. During reckoning effects, it says each investigator resolves a reckoning effect of each deal condition he has, treating all die rolls as ones. Then discard this card. Okay, well, that's an ongoing card. Okay, so we'll place that card in our ongoing area. And the last step now is to decide on our order of movement. I think we're going to move the first player marker to Hank Sampson. And we're ready to begin our next round. Incidentally, the replacement card on the reserve became the Chief Inspector. He's an ally, gains 1 to observation, and gains +2 observation during research encounters. All right, Hank Sampson is up next. I think we're going to abandon the attempt at trying to take out these creatures. We're just going to have to trust the luck that that die roll doesn't come up that and move the doom track. We have to try to solve these mysteries. Hank's going to do a travel action that'll move him from London to Arkham, and we'll attempt to get that research token there. I think while he's there, he's going to do a rest action, and that will allow him to gain a health and a sanity back, which is going to move him up to 3 sanity and 6 health. And at the same time, well, I guess that's all we can do. Yep, that's it. Okay. All right, McGlenn is up next. He's going to do a move action. We'll move him to Shanghai with another research token, or clue token, I should say. I think while he's there, he's going to gain a focus token. So that'll be his second focus. We'll move on to Lily Chen. I think for Lily, she is going to begin by doing a prepare for travel. We're going to have her gain a travel ticket, a rail ticket. She's going to move to Tunguska, and then she's going to spend the rail ticket to move her to Eastern Siberia, I guess. All right, those will be her two actions. I would love to have Wendy Adams attempt to go and get this star spawn, but she's not really a combat-orientated character. She does have the Dragon Idol, though. I think she's going to try this. She'll use the Dragon Idol. And that says, as an action, loses sanity, and 1 monster on your space or an adjacent space will lose 2 health. So she'll do that. That's going to move her sanity down to 2, though. That's very dangerous. But the creature is going to gain 2 damage. Maybe we can take this thing out just to take a few turns. But it might be worth it. So we'll do that. I think for her next action, she's going to do a rest action and will recover health. No health, she's at 5. We'll recover sanity. That will give her a total of 3 sanity. All right, that's going to finish her actions. Now we'll move on to the encounter phase with Hank Sampson. All right, Hank is in Arkham. We're going to do a token encounter, and he's going to attempt to research that clue token. See what we get. And that research card reads, you fixate on aligning yourself with the shifting axis of power surrounding the Spider Mother's web. Test willpower. All right, Hank Sampson has a willpower of 3, and he has a improvement there. So he has a total of 4. We're going to roll the 4 dice and see if he can pass this. All right, here's his roll. He's got 1 success. He did it. And it says if you pass, you become attuned, gain this clue, and improve lore. That is great. We're going to apply that clue to our current mystery, and that's our 4th one. So at the end of the round, we will be solving that mystery. That's great. He's going to improve lore. So we'll give Hank an improvement in lore, which moves him up to 2. Not great, but better than nothing. Okay, that'll end his encounter. We'll move to Michael McGlenn. Michael is in Shanghai. All right, Michael can do either the location encounter or the research encounter. I think we'll do the research encounter, even though we have the number of tokens we need to complete that first mystery. He can gain maybe the clue token and just keep it. So we'll try the research action. All right, and this reads, you try to understand the arcane power that is pulling reality closer to the dreamlands. Test lore -1. Well, Michael McGlenn's lore is a 2, and he has a book of spells, which gives him +2 when resolving spell effects. So he has actually a total of 4 there, and he'll be able to roll 4 dice for the test. We're finally starting to get some decent dice counts. Okay, he has 2 focus tokens if we need them. Here is the roll. He's got 3 successes. That is great. It says, roll 2 additional dice if you have at least 1 spell. We did not. Okay. If you pass, you are able to understand the complexities of this process, gain the clue. All right, he's just going to take the clue. We don't need to place it on that mystery anymore. So we'll gain the clue for Michael McGlenn. That is great. Next up is Lily Chen, and she is in Eastern Siberia. All right, she is going to take a generic location encounter in the wilderness. We'll see what that is. And that encounter reads, you are terrified to see a night gaunt descend from the night sky. Test willpower. Okay, Lily Chen has a will of 3. She's currently blessed, so we'll be using the blue dice for that. So we'll see what happens with the test. All right, here's her will test with the blue dice. She has 2 successes. That's great. If you pass, you stay calm, and it delivers a gift from Nodens. Gain 1 random magical asset from the deck. Okay. And she's going to gain the Spirit Dagger. Item, weapon, magical. Gain +1 to will and +2 strength during combat encounters. That's great. Okay, we'll move on to Wendy Adams. All right, Wendy is in Buenos Aires, so we'll do a American encounter in Buenos Aires. All right, the card reads, you see hidden arcane sigils in one of the city's murals. You ask the artist to share his knowledge. Test influence. All right, she has an influence of only 1, though, unfortunately. Now, she has this lantern, and it says once per round, you may roll 1 additional die when resolving a test. So we'll use that. We'll tip the card. That'll give her a total of 2 dice for the test, at least. And we'll see what happens. All right, here's her test roll. She's got a success. She's got a 5. We'll read on. If you pass, he teaches you his methods. Gain 1 non-incantation spell. All right. So the non-incantation spell is revealed to be a glamour spell. Find gate. Play with the top gate of the gate stack revealed. And then during reckonings, test lore and flip the card. So we'll flip the top card of the gate stack and keep that open as long as she's got that spell. So the next gate is going to be in Arkham. That's interesting. Okay. And that's going to complete the encounter phase. We'll move on to the Mythos phase. All right, the Mythos card is entitled Call to Duty. We're going to begin with an Omen track movement. All right, the Omen track will move to the Green Comet. Currently, we have no green gates open. All right, next up is a Monster Surge, and since we don't have any green gates open, we have to spawn a gate, and that's going to be the gate in Arkham. So because of that glamour spell, we know that the gate will open in Arkham. We'll place that in Arkham with a monster, and the next gate is revealed to be in the heart of Africa. We've got a lot of red gates that are going to be coming. This is not good. All right, the gate opens in Arkham, and a child of the goat comes through. Let's see what this thing looks like. It has a reckoning effect. All right, it has magical resistance. There's no will test, strength, and it's a 2 damage with 1 toughness. It says, during the reckoning phase, roll a die on a 1 or 2, advance the doom by 1. Oh boy. Well, we're in pretty bad shape. We have a lot of red gates on the board. Right now we've got a total of 3 red gates, and the Heart of Africa would be coming online next. So if we end up getting a When the omen track moves to the red circle, we're going to be moving the doom up by 3 unless we can close these gates. We've got a couple of turns though, maybe. We'll see. All right, next up is we're going to spawn a couple of clues. Let's see where these are going to come out. First one is space 12, and that is an ocean space in the South Atlantic. Next one is space 2, and that's an ocean space in the North Pacific. Okay, we'll place those accordingly. Now the event reads, Call to Duty. This is not an issue the Syndicate can resolve via normal channels. The well-dressed agent passes a sealed envelope across the table to you. We need your help and trust you can be discreet. The lead investigator gains 2 unique assets and then discards one of them. Okay. So the 2 unique task assets are Bury Them Deep and Push It to the Limit. When a non-epic monster is defeated or discarded, you may spend 1 focus to place the monster on this card, then you can flip the card. The other one is when you perform a rest action, you may push your body to its limits, testing strength. If you pass, place an Eldritch token on the card, and then you can flip the card. I think we'll try the push to the limit. All right, and we have solved our first mystery. It says here, at the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to the number of investigators, solve the mystery. Well, we have 4 of them, so we've solved it. That is great. We'll draw our next mystery. And our next mystery is Caught in the Web. As the web between worlds nears completion, rifts in time and space appear in places where dream and reality are close. The opening verses of a great ceremony that will bind the world of man to the dreamlands. As an encounter, an investigator on a space containing a gate may attempt to seal one of the rifts. And we have to test strength -1 or lore -1. If we pass, you can spend 2 clues to place the Eldritch token on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are Eldritch tokens on the card equal to half the number of investigators, solve the mystery. That is great. So these 4 clue tokens are gone, and we need to go to gates now in order to get our next mystery to be solved. That's great. All right, our last step then is to determine the lead investigator token. I think I'm going to move the lead investigator to Lily Chen, and we'll try that. Lily Chen will take over as the lead investigator, and we're ready for a new round. We're ready to begin our next round, and our lead investigator is Lily Chen. She is at pretty much full capacity. She's at 4 of 6 sanity, which isn't too bad. She has plenty of magical weapons and things, so we'll see what she can do. She's also blessed for the time being. All right, she's currently in Siberia, and I think what she's going to do is do a move action for her first action. She'll move into Tokyo. We have a clue token there. I think for her next action, she's going to gain a focus token, and that'll be her second focus. We'll move on to Wendy Adams. She's in Buenos Aires. Now, Wendy picked up this dragon idol magical relic, and I think we can use that to maybe try to get rid of that star spawn, so we'll probably end up using that. All right, I think her first action is going to be a focus, so she'll get a focus token. That's her first one. And then I think she's going to use that dragon idol and see if we can get some more hits on the star spawn that is adjacent to her. The dragon idol reads, as an action, lose a sanity, and 1 monster on your space or an adjacent space will lose 2 health. So that'll move her down to 2 sanity, and we'll place another 2 damage on that star spawn. And that is adjacent to her. That's 4 now. And this thing has a toughness of 5, so next turn we'd be able to probably get rid of that thing, which would be great. Next up is Hank Sampson, and he is currently in Arkham. There is a monster there. It's the Child of the Goat. I think for his first action, he's going to do a focus. We'll give him a focus token, and then we're going to try to deal with this debt condition. It says as a local action, we can test influence. And if we pass, we can discard the card. His influence is currently at 2. And unfortunately, none of the other characters will add anything to it. Our ally adds 1 success when resolving a influence test during an acquire action, so that won't help us. All right, so we will attempt to do that. All right, here's his influence roll. Let's see if we can pass this and get rid of that debt condition. He's done it. He's got a 5, so we can discard the debt condition. That's awesome. I'm hoping that Hank Sampson can take care of that child of the goat in Arkham and then maybe close the gate. That's what I'm hoping for. Next up is Michael McGlenn. He has 3 sanity out of his 4, so he's pretty good. He does have that dark pact, and he does have a corruption condition right now. So let's see what we can do with Michael. All right, I think McGlenn is going to begin with a prepare for travel. So we're going to give him ship travel ticket. He's going to move for his next action to Indonesia, spending the ticket, and then moving him into Sydney. And we'll see how that works out. Maybe we can battle that rat thing and then possibly close the gate in Sydney. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll move on to the encounters phase, beginning with Lily Chen. All right, Lily is in Tokyo, and I think she's going to try the research action, and we'll see if we can gain that clue token. In order to catch that next mystery that we have, Caught in a Web, we need to have at least 2 clues to place an Eldritch token on that card, and we need 2 Eldritch tokens, so a total of 4 clues basically is what we're going to end up needing, in addition to passing a test. Okay, she'll try the research action, and the research action reads, you feel the lightest of touches on your shoulder and spot a spider crawling towards your neck. Test observation. Okay, her observation is 2. And she is blessed, so we'll be using the blue dice for the test, which is great. Now Lily has the conspiracy theorist, and that allows her to add +2 observation during research encounters. So that's going to move us up to 4 now. That's great. We've got 4 blue dice. And here's her roll. And she's got 3 successes. That is awesome. And it says if you pass, you deftly swat it and release a burst of arcane mist when it dies. Gain this clue and 1 talent condition. That is awesome. So she'll take the clue. That is great. And we'll see what we get for a talent. And she gains the talent Rugged. You may re-roll 1 die when resolving a strength test. Once per round, if you would lose 2 or more health, prevent 1 of that health loss, and then flip the card. Okay, that's good. We'll move on to Wendy Adams' encounter phase. All right, Wendy is in Buenos Aires, and I think we'll take a Buenos Aires encounter. And her encounter reads, a local insane asylum desperately needs supplies. For your donations, they will exchange the arcane possessions of famed magician Frizzo, who died there. You may spend 1 resource to gain 1 random trinket asset from the deck and a ritual spell. Well, unfortunately, she doesn't have any resources, so we get nothing out of that. Next up is Hank Sampson, and he has to do a combat encounter against the child of the goat. All right, and there is no will test. It's going to be strictly a strength test with 2 damage and a 1 toughness. Hank currently has a strength of 2, so he's going to gain 2 for that. And we'll see what else we've got here. And I think he will use his sledgehammer, which is going to give him +2 during strength tests during combat encounters. Now this has magical resistance, so we wouldn't be able to use any magic items for that. So we'll have a total of 4 combat dice, and all we need is 1 success to get rid of this thing. Then he can try closing the gate. He does have 1 focus token. Okay, here is the roll. And he's failed. Oh no. Well, he's going to spend his focus token, and we'll try to re-roll 1 of these and see if we can get lucky. Be nice to be able to kill that thing and then try to close the gate. Here's the roll. We missed. He's got a 4. So he's going to take a total of 2 damage. It's going to move him down to 4 health, and that will end his encounter phase. All right, Michael McGlenn is currently in Sydney, Australia, and we have to combat this rat thing that is guarding that gate. We have to start out with an observation -2 test. It has no horror value attached to it, but it does say if you fail the observation test, we have to discard an item possession. So I think what we'll do then is see what he's got here. For observation is 2, -2. He gets only 1 die for that. That's not good. Well, we'll have to do it. I don't have any other bonuses. I do have 2 focus tokens though. All right, here is the roll. He's done it. He's passed it, so we don't lose anything. Now we're going to start the strength test for the combat. He has a strength value of 4 - 1 is 3. He's got 3 there. He's going to use his Tommy gun, which is going to give him +4. So we'll add another 4 dice to that. That's great. And then we have to take 1 out for the strength of the rat thing. So we'll be rolling 6 dice. And all we need is 1 hit to kill this thing. So let's do it. Whoops, I missed one. Okay, we got 2 hits. That is great. So the rat thing is killed. Since there are no monsters in his space, he can attempt an encounter there, and we'll do a token encounter and try and close the gate in Sydney. This time we're traveling to Los Carcosa. It says, inside a well-appointed library, you sit down for a game of chess. Your opponent is quite old and wrapped in a silken robe. It will take a sharp mind to win the game. We have to test lore -1. Well, he has a lore of 2, so we're only going to be getting 1 die for this test. We might have to use our focus tokens. We'll see what happens. Here is the roll. He's done it. He's got a 6. We can read the pass effect. As you win, your opponent vanishes and a door appears. Close the gate. That is great. So the gate in Sydney is closed. Awesome. Then it says, before leaving, you examine the library's books. Test observation -1. Well, he has an observation of 1 + 1 for an improvement, but -1 for the test. So once again, we have 1 die. Here is the roll. We've done it. He's passed it. If you pass, you find a book about the future. Gain 2 clues. That is awesome. Let's get the 2 clues. So Michael's going to gain 2 clues. He has a total of 3 clues now, and that's enough to try to get an Eldritch token onto our next mystery. That's great. Okay, that will complete the encounter phase, and we have to move on to a Mythos phase now. Mythos card is entitled A Dark Power. We're going to begin with a Omen track advancement. All right, the Omen track will advance to the blue star pattern, and we don't have any blue gates on the board, so that is great. All right, next up is a Reckoning phase, and we're going to begin by looking at the monsters on the board with Reckoning effects. All right, the first one is in the South Pacific, and it says there, roll a die on a 1 or 2. We have to advance the doom. So here's the roll. Roll's a 4, so we're okay. All right, there's a few others. Same thing will apply to this monster in Arkham. A 1 or 2 and the doom will move. And it's a 2, so the doom track will move. Our doom track moves down to 2 now, and we're at critical condition here. We still have a few more monsters with Reckoning effects. All right, we've got another monster here with the same deal. A 1 or 2 and the doom track will move. It's a 3, so we're all right with that. There's one more in back with the, it says here on a 1 or 2, the nearest investigator gains a curse condition, so that's not good. Let's see how that works out. It's a 6. And finally, we have this character or creature. It's a zombie. And it says, spawn the zombie horde epic monster on this space. If you discard this, if you do, discard this monster. Okay. Alright, so we're going to remove that zombie monster and replace that with the zombie horde epic monster. And this thing is pretty tough. It's got 5 toughness, a -3 strength test, and then during reckonings, we'll have to roll a die, and on a 1 or 2, we advance to doom. So this is not good. Alright, that is all the monsters with reckoning effects. Next is the ancient one. Atlach-Nacha says it's going to spawn a gate unless the investigators as a group discard a total number of clues and or spells equal to half the investigators. So we got to get rid of 2. Well, I have enough clues and I have 1 spell that I could get rid of to stop a gate from forming. This one's going to be in the heart of Africa when it spawns. So it's not very close to any of our investigators. I think we have to do it. McGlenn is going to give up a clue, and Wendy Adams will give up this find gate spell. Now when that goes, we have to turn over the top of the gate stack back to unrevealed. So we know it's going to be Heart of Africa, but we will no longer be able to monitor that anymore. So we've stopped him from placing a gate at least. All right, now we have to resolve our active Mythos cards. The first one is False Bargain. Each investigator resolves the reckoning effect of each deal condition he has, treating all die rolls as 1s, then discard the card. All right, well, let's see if we've got any of those. And unfortunately, we do. And it is Michael McGlenn's Dark Pact. So we have to resolve that with a result of 1. So this is not going to be good. This will not be good. All right, we've got Reap the Whirlwind. The information seemed so innocuous at the time, and the power you were offered in return was so vast. Now their plans have come to fruition, and the cost of your transgression will be paid in blood of the innocents. Draw and resolve a disaster, then discard this card. Okay, we have to resolve a disaster. All right, we've got to resolve a disaster, and this one's entitled Waterspouts. Like a living thing, the deluge crosses the water's surface, carried by the deafening winds. It paralyzes you with primal fear of nature's raw and indiscriminate destructive power. Each investigator on a sea space loses 2 sanity and becomes delayed. Then return all ship tickets to the game box. All right, I don't think I have any investigators on sea spaces. We don't. So that is great. All right. So that was not too damaging at all. So the False Bargain card can be discarded. That is great. Next is Move to Boston. Discard 1 asset from the reserve and place an Eldritch token on this card on the space of the reserve. Okay. Well, I guess we'll discard the 38 revolver and we'll place an Eldritch token there. That wasn't too bad. And next up, we have to resolve possessions and conditions. We'll start with our lead investigator, Lily Chen. All right, her reckoning effects include the conspiracy theorist. Roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6, gain a clue. Okay, here's the roll. She's got a 4, so we'll gain a clue. That's great. So we'll give her a clue. Next, we have to test for our blessing. On a roll of 1 or 2, we're going to discard the blessing. I hope we can roll high here. And of course, she rolled a 1, so we've lost our blessing. Oh boy. Wendy Adams does not have any reckoning effects. We'll move on to Hank Sampson. Hank does not have any reckoning effects. We'll move on then to Michael McGlenn. Well, Michael has a corruption condition. It says gain an Eldritch token and then flip the card. So this is probably not going to be very good for us. That'll be his 3rd Eldritch token, and we'll see what happens. And it says here, resolve each effect that applies based on the number of tokens you have. So we've definitely got 1. That'll be discard an ally. We don't have any. 3+, another investigator gains 1 Bane condition. Oh boy. And the Bane condition is revealed to be a blight. When you gain this card, discard an ally. And we have to give that to another investigator. And I think I'm going to give that to Wendy Adams. She currently does not have any allies. So we'll give her the Blight. Okay, that's going to complete the Reckoning phase, and we'll move on to the next part of the card. All right, the next part of the card is we have to spawn a gate, and we know where that one's going to be. It's going to be in the heart of Africa, and that's where it's going to be. Yep. And we will see what kind of monster is going to come through that gate. Get a draw of a monster. And the monster is going to be a cultist. Now the cultists have a special ability for Atlach-Nacha, I believe. Let's take a look at that. And it says, when this monster is spawned, move it to the nearest space that does not contain a gate or a monster. All right. All right, so the nearest space would either be the pyramids or Cape Town, South Africa, and I guess we'll move it there. All right. And now it's the event. It's titled A Dark Power. Lightning cracks across the sky. You have a sinking dread that all the good you've accomplished is about to be undone. Each monster removes all health. Then each investigator immediately encounters each monster in his space in the order of his choice. Oh boy, that is not good. So we're going to lose all of the progress we've made with this star spawn. It's going to lose 4. That is terrible. In addition, the star vampire in Istanbul will be healed. And now we're going to have to encounter monsters in the spaces with investigators. That's going to be Hank Sampson. Well, the only investigator in a space with a monster is Hank Sampson, and he's going to have to fight that child of the goat again. This one wasn't too bad. There is no will test, so it's going to be a strength test with 2 damage. All right, so Hank is going to have his 2 dice for his normal strength. That's his 4 minus 2 impairment, and then he will use the sledgehammer, which is going to give him plus 2. So he has 4 dice for the test. All right, he doesn't have any re-rolls, unfortunately, so we'll see what happens with this. We only need 1 hit, so come on, Hank. He's got 1 hit, so he's killed the thing, but he's going to take 1 point of damage in the process, so he's down to 3 health, but we finally got rid of that child of the goat at least. And that's going to bring the Mythos phase to a close. All we have left is to decide on our lead investigator. And I think I'm going to leave the lead investigator with Lily Chen. And I think we're going to end the video here. We're going to regroup for a 4th episode. We're not doing too well. We've got a doom track at 2. But we are kind of in position to at least attempt this, solving the 2nd mystery. So I do have 2 characters with 2 clues, which is what we're going to end up needing to solve that 2nd mystery. So we'll see what happens. The odds are against us, though. There are a lot of tough monsters on the board that have reckoning effects that can move the doom track up 1 on a roll of 1 or 2. So I don't think we're going to have enough time, but we'll see what happens. So I look forward to seeing you again for episode 4 of our playthrough. And in the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club signing off, wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Good night.